Today, we are here with Carl from the Moon, and he's going to tell us how he successfully traded his way to becoming a Bitcoin millionaire, coming from pretty humble beginnings as a kid entering this industry. It's definitely an inspirational story that we want to share with the viewers. So, Carl, how are you doing? Thank you for joining, and we're really excited to learn from you and your experience here.
Thank you so much for having me on the channel. I'm honored to be here. Thank you so much, Elliot.
Yeah, pleasure. So could you tell us a little bit, first of all, about like how you started into crypto? There's a lot of new people entering the space and they want to know how to get their foothold. They want to know how they can be a part of this incredible movement that is cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. And you started yourself. You didn't have any special favors or anyone that sort of gave you a leg up in this industry, but you're here and you're a centerpiece here in the YouTube circuit. So could you talk a little bit how you got started?
Yeah, sure. Actually, it was not many years ago when I was working in a grocery store, doing normal, average 9 to 5 things, having average 9 to 5 thoughts and average 9 to 5 like friends and whatever. I was doing what everyone else was doing before crypto, right? And then I found crypto, I found Bitcoin, and immediately my mind just changed. I was very excited about the whole idea of Bitcoin and decentralizing money. And I knew that immediately, this is my future now. I have to do everything to get into this. I want to change my life. I want to, this is where I'm going. And I was already into like the whole technical analysis kind of thing already before Bitcoin slightly, because I was already into, so I was actually, before Bitcoin, I was into precious metals and gold. I was very interested in this. So I was looking at charts all the time and all of that stuff. So I already had kind of the background, not only charting, but also like the monetary policies, like gold and why the Federal Reserve is bad and why banks are evil, all of that stuff. I already knew about this before.
And how'd you get into that? Where did you get into that kind of stuff?
The whole bank, like that was a very long time ago. That was like 2013 or 12 even, something like this, where I think I was just like browsing YouTube, I guess, just like any other person is doing, you know, and I found these videos and they were talking about the Federal Reserve, the dollar, and how all of this, like how the whole banking system is a big Ponzi scheme, and how governments are robbing us through inflation, or, you know, all these things, right? And it was very, very intriguing to me, very interesting. And the fact that banks have so much control over our money, and how the central banks are this like a big cartel of it's a very evil system, right? It's very, very evil how much control. It's like very centralized, and they control the whole world through the system of money. And back then I thought gold was the answer, because gold is very similar to Bitcoin in the sense that it's not controlled by one single entity, and it's somehow decentralized, right? Because you cannot, not one party can control all the gold. But we all know that, of course, Bitcoin has many, many advantages over gold. But I think it's interesting that I came from this perspective, because it made it so easy to understand Bitcoin when I actually learned about Bitcoin, because all the kind of the history was already there. I think many people, they do it the opposite way. They find Bitcoin, they buy some Bitcoin, and now they're interested. Now they start to read about these things. So I guess I just took the other perspective there. But yeah, so that's how I got into that. And but yeah, so when I learned about Bitcoin, I immediately thought, this is amazing. This is life-changing, because of course gold is incredible. Gold has held its value for thousands of years, and gold will always be there. But the thing is that, sure, gold has been here for thousands of years, but in the past 40, 30 years, the world has dramatically changed with the internet. The internet wasn't here hundreds of years ago, even thousands of years ago, right? So what worked for thousands of years doesn't necessarily have to work in the future. And I think that right now, with the internet, it is time for a digital gold, so to speak, or digital money. And that's why I think Bitcoin is such a fantastic opportunity for us, because Bitcoin is still small. So these are the things I realized, and that's why I just had to jump into crypto. And I did it completely, like I dove right in, not only put all my money into Bitcoin. Like I said, I worked in the grocery store, every single paycheck I ever got went straight into Bitcoin. I was even struggling with money because I put everything in Bitcoin, so I had to sell back some Bitcoin every now and then to buy the essentials. But yeah, that's how I got started.
So after you caught the bug, right? There's a lot of people who probably are watching this who recently caught the bug. I know on my channel we have a huge amount of new subscribers, and I see on your channel the same. So say someone has just caught the bug, how did you then go from being super excited about Bitcoin to actually becoming a full-time professional here and making it, so to speak, here in crypto land?
Yeah, so for me, when I learned about Bitcoin, I realized that it's not enough just to buy Bitcoin. For me, I realized I need to get into Bitcoin. I need to make a career out of Bitcoin, go full-time crypto, so to speak. That's what I tell my audience a lot. Like, if you want to make money in this space, go full-time crypto. It was just the same back in the .com era, right? Like you can buy stocks and you can make money from it, but go out there, look for opportunities and get into the space and work with the space, create your own business or something like this. That's what I wanted to do. And this is what I did. I created my YouTube channel, and the trading goes along with that, of course. So essentially, creating a business that creates cash flow that is dependent on the crypto space, I think is very important, because whatever you can do in crypto will 10x with the crypto space when the crypto space goes 10x. So that's why I think it's important to pick an industry that is going to do well. I heard someone say that something like the average the average basketball trainer in the US makes, like, I don't know, a few million per year or something, and then the average like lacrosse trainer makes only like 300,000 per year. So essentially, you only have to be like an average basketball trainer to be better or to make more money than even the best lacrosse trainer in the world. So like, pick your industry, pick the place where the money and the opportunities are at. As long as you enjoy it, of course, you should always do things you enjoy, but pick a good industry and then just make some kind of business and start small, but start somewhere. You have to start somewhere, for sure.
So where did you start? I mean, do you consider yourself primarily a trader or primarily a content creator? Are you an influencer and someone who spreads the good word about Bitcoin primarily, or are you primarily a full-time trader? How do you look at your particular makeup, and how can this be something that others can maybe learn from?
I think that's an interesting question, because I think it's like an identity thing. I feel like the trading is more something I kind of keep private in a sense. It's not like I identify, I would say like publicly for sure, I identify a little bit more as this, the influencer that I am, I guess. Whenever people ask me what I do, I always ask, or I answer, I'm a YouTuber. I make YouTube videos about Bitcoin and I educate people about Bitcoin. So I guess it's not like I don't have like a clear answer, but of course I have both identities in me, but I would say that the more predominant one, the one that kind of takes over when I'm out there speaking, when I'm doing public speaking, it's usually like educating people about Bitcoin, because I do make videos about trading, that's for sure, but I always include essential knowledge about Bitcoin. I try to talk about the monetary policy about Bitcoin and like Federal Reserve and all these things. I try to keep that a very important part of my videos, because I mean, knowledge is key. Whether you're trading Bitcoin or just buying Bitcoin, I think you should know what you're buying or trading, without a doubt. So it's important.
So I think it's really good because, what a lot of people struggle with is they say, hey, well, I can't afford a Bitcoin. How am I going to, if Bitcoin goes to $1 million, so what? I can't get one. It's too expensive already. And so, a lot of the kind of reality of crypto is you kind of need some money to make some money, and you need to be able to risk some money as well, because, most people who come into this space, they don't exactly hit the grand slam on day one. I mean, it's pretty unrealistic to think that you would do a grand slam on day one with every dollar. But doing something like content creation, it doesn't cost you anything, really. I mean, I started my channel with no equipment. I just had a laptop with the webcam, and I was getting, on good videos, I was getting tens of thousands of views on good videos. And I built my first community there. I think I got a webcam, about a year into it or something like that. And I think a lot of people think they need like expensive equipment or something to create YouTube videos. What's your advice to someone who maybe wants to start and create content and sort of grow their own brand as a content creator?
Yeah, I think the most important thing, if you actually do want to go into the whole content creation thing, is to just get started. Don't think too much about the equipment. Don't think about what people are going to say. Don't think about what you're going to say. Just get started. Just go make your first video. And let's say you have this like perfectionism in your brain, you don't want to make a bad video. Just make a video without having the intention to even upload it. Just make a video just to kind of see what happens. You don't even have to upload it. And if you do upload it, you can delete it in 2 days or even 1 hour if you feel bad about it. Just get started, because many people, they have the idea. It doesn't matter if it's content creation or business creation, whatever. Many people have the idea, fantastic ideas, but the execution is never there. It's only like this 5% of people that actually go ahead and do something. And most often, these people had no clue what to actually do, but they just started somewhere. And then this somewhere took them to where they are today. So very, very important to just get started. And many entrepreneurs, they say the same thing, that they tried a few things in the beginning. They tried a few, maybe it could be some type of video, it could be some type of business. And very often what they ended up doing was actually something different. But they always say that if they hadn't started with this thing in the beginning, that was the start, they would have not ended up where they actually ended up. So I think it's very important to just start. Don't think too much about all of these mental blockages, because they are just that. They are mental blockages. They are not real rational. Like it's not rational to think like that, because then you will never get anywhere.
Yeah, no, I think it's really good advice. And one of the things I noticed that you did really, really well growing your channel, because I think you started about the same time in early 2018 as I started my channel. Mm-hmm, yep. And that was a hard time to start a channel, because essentially the number was only going down. And there was a lot of optimism still in the community because of what had happened in 2017. But it was a rough time because the real crowds weren't there, and content creators really had to work hard for every subscriber, especially to keep them. And I think it's I've noticed that the content creators that are really thriving are the ones who didn't get the bull run pump last bull run, but they're the ones who had to really grind it out during the bear market. And what I noticed that you did really, really well is essentially every day you put out a video every day. And I think that that's a really important lesson and kind of almost a life organizational kind of thing to do, which is to do something every day to make its impact more profound. Can you talk a little bit about what like the everyday grind represents on YouTube, but more importantly, just like in achieving these goals?
Yeah, sure. I think that on YouTube specifically, I think it is important to have frequent videos. I think daily videos is something that truly was a game changer for me. When I started to make daily, I saw the growth just escalate, because people, they know that they can depend on you. They know that there will always be a video there. And also for yourself, you will get so much better at it, because whatever you do every day, you will get so good at it, because it's repetition. So it doesn't matter if it's making videos or making sales calls or whatever. If you do it every single day, you will get good at it. And I made over 1,000 videos now, so I'm obviously good at it now. Like all the editing and all of the like content research and everything, it goes very, very fast. Just like someone who's making sales calls every single day for 3 years, he will be very, very good at it, because he knows exactly what to say. He knows exactly what people want to hear. So I think it's very important to definitely grind, but not only grind. I think it's also important to have goals, to kind of have the long-term vision there while you're doing the grind, because this gives the grind meaning. If you just grind without having a bigger purpose, then eventually you will just get bored, I guess, and it will just it's very important to have this long-term goal and like visualize your future and have a clear vision in your mind of where you're going while you're grinding. I think that's something that I always did, and so far so good. It worked out very, very well for me.
It's almost like meditative, right? When you just do something over and over again until you're just master the art of it. And yeah, I think I have something like 600 videos, and you just know, you have that feeling when you know you've set up the video and you're ready to go, and you flip the camera on, and you know when you've set when you've done you know when the video has worked well before you edit it even. And it's just, the more you do something, the better you get at it. And so I think that's
it becomes
a really good advice.
Second nature. It becomes like a part of you. I think that's very important, because that's when you can start to fine tune things, because in the beginning you cannot know what's going to work or what's not going to work. It's just trial and error in the beginning. Just try different things. It's only after the first, like, if we take YouTubing as an example, it's only after like maybe the first 50 videos or so where you can actually start to kind of get a feel of what's working, what's not working, and how can I take this forward. In the beginning, it's just trial and error. And most people, I would say probably 90% of everyone, give up within the first few videos. I mean, actually, most people give up even before the first video, right?
Yep.
But you have to go through these first dozens of videos. It will be fantastic when you find out what works for you, and if you can enjoy it. That's the important part, I think. If you can enjoy it. If you don't enjoy making videos, then maybe that's not for you. But give it a try. In the beginning, it is hard or harder, but it gets easier and easier and easier with every single video.
So now that we've talked about how you can get started in Bitcoin, let's talk about Bitcoin. Tell me, Carl, what's going on with Bitcoin? This is what you do every day. You look at the prices, you trade Bitcoin, you make Bitcoin content. I think a lot of people are really excited about it, but a lot of people are also a little confused. Is this normal for Bitcoin? What's happening? And what do you think is the situation right now as we've sort of been ranging here between 30 and 40K?
I think that everyone who goes into crypto or Bitcoin specifically should know that the volatility is there, and the volatility is extreme. Buying Bitcoin today could mean that your money is worth 50% less tomorrow. It could also mean that it's worth 100% more tomorrow. Like, Bitcoin is very, very volatile. And whether you're trading or investing, I think it's important to know that that this is the case. And specifically, if you want to buy Bitcoin, I think that I always tell people that it's very important to not buy everything at one point. Don't go all in today. You should always dollar cost average, buy maybe weekly or monthly. And this way you don't have to time the market, because if you don't know that much about technical analysis and trading, then you shouldn't really be doing that at the start, at least, especially if you're investing, because investing for the long term, you shouldn't really be sitting there waiting for like the perfect dip or whatever. Just get into Bitcoin, but dollar cost average, because you don't want to have any emotions attached to what you're buying. So if you go in with more money than you're comfortable with, when Bitcoin goes down 30%, then I'm sure you will start to feel some emotions. You will feel, whoa, I should have waited a little bit. Whoa, what am I going to do now? I don't have any cash to go in. Like, you don't want to have these emotions, because then you will panic sell, and then you have to panic buy back in when Bitcoin pumps back. And this is how you lose money. And then you will see your Bitcoin start to look like a melting ice cube, just melting like this, getting smaller and smaller. So dollar cost average when you're investing. And trading, I think I always tell people that if you're a beginner to trading, then the same here. Let's say you have one Bitcoin. Let's say that's what you have. That's what you're investing. When you're trading, don't put in more than maybe 5% of that. You don't want to risk your Bitcoin, because it will be the same thing there. It will be this melting ice cube if you start going too crazy. Risk management. Your position sizes should be very, very small against your whole portfolio. So, for example, if you have one Bitcoin, only take maybe 5% of this into your trading portfolio. So that's 0.05 Bitcoin. And then out of this 0.05 Bitcoin, every single trade should never be more than maybe 3% of that trading portfolio. So we're talking about very, very small trades compared to your whole investment portfolio, especially in the beginning. Now, if you're a professional, if you're starting to know what you're doing, then maybe you can start to kind of fine tune a little bit. But starting out, this is very important, because basically all traders all traders, they lost their whole accounts, maybe 1 or 2, 3, 4 times. It's kind of it's part of the learning process. It's like
It's a rite of
going to
passage.
yeah. If you go to college, you will pay for that. If you want to be a trader, you will have to pay for that.
Yep.
You learn the hard way. So that's why in the beginning, don't risk so much, because you will probably lose the first little portfolio you put in. It's only maybe in the second time there where you're going to start to kind of learn from your mistakes. And this is the name of the game, learning from your mistake. If you make a mistake, if you lose money, as long as you learn from it and don't do the same mistake again, then it wasn't really a mistake. It was just a lesson.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And that's why, we do have, links to these leverage trading platforms. But, it says with clear disclaimers, like, don't use this if you're not experienced, because, like you said, you got to pay for your education, and trading is most certainly a profitable thing if done right, but it takes a long time to get there. And so most people rush in, they trade with too much, they get a little greedy. You can do paper trades, right? You can trade on paper, just see how good you get it. But it's not exciting for a lot of people, so they end up risking too much. So that's really good advice. What do you think is the long-term path for Bitcoin? How do you see Bitcoin fitting into sort of the larger economy? Do you consider yourself more of like a Bitcoin maximalist? Do you hold any altcoins? Where do you think things are going in the long term?
Yeah. First of all, I never consider myself a Bitcoin maximalist. I do hold Ethereum. I do hold a couple of altcoins. I would say my Ethereum allocation currently is slightly less than 10% of my portfolio. And I do hold some altcoins. But I would say that I'm more bullish on Bitcoin than I am on any other coin out there. That's for sure. So that's why I hold Bitcoin mostly. And I think that the end goal for Bitcoin is to potentially take over the whole world of money and become the world reserve currency. And I think that the road there is not really dependent on if governments or banks allow it or not. I think that Bitcoin is just naturally going to flow into this state, because I think that the free market will just determine Bitcoin to be the best form of money in the world. It will take a long time before this happens, but let's say in the next 20, 30 years, I really can see this happen. And if Bitcoin were to take over the whole market cap of money, which is approximately like 100 trillion, if you take into consideration all the fiat currencies in the world, then this could put Bitcoin at approximately $5 million per Bitcoin. And I think that this is reasonable to assume, because there is this law of, for example, we had gold and silver coins before, right? And then when government started to dilute these coins with cheaper metals, eventually, or there was a transition period where the gold coins and the cheap coins were circulating at the same time, simultaneously. And this led to people hoarding the gold coins and spending the bad coins, right? Mm-hmm. You save the good coins, you spend the bad coins. So it was like a natural process of the phasing out the bad money, for example, so to speak. And I think the same thing will happen with Bitcoin against fiat currencies. We all know here in crypto that, we buy Bitcoin, but we rarely sell Bitcoin. And I think that's going to be the case for the next 20 years or even more, because Bitcoin goes up in value and fiat goes down in value. So, for example, I make some fiat and I make some Bitcoin as my income. I never spend Bitcoin. I always spend the fiat. And I think this is the same for everyone in crypto. And I think that as crypto grows, this will be, we will see tens of millions, hundreds of millions of people that will do the exact same thing. So the same phenomenon, I think, will happen on a global scale, where people just spend fiat, and fiat will just end up in a hyperinflation because governments will keep printing. I saw one statistic that 22% of all dollars that were ever created were created in 2020 alone. Mm-hmm. Something like this. And
And if it's going to reach $5 million per coin and consume fiat, we'd assume that by the time that happens, there would be some pretty extensive hyperinflation. So in today's dollars, that could be something like $15, $20 million per coin in 10, 20 years from now as dollars, right?
Yeah. How about 3 quadrillion or quintillion dollars, because it doesn't really mean too much, because the dollar will be completely worthless. In fact, if Bitcoin takes over this whole pool of money in the world, then the dollar has to be worthless, because otherwise Bitcoin couldn't do it. So yeah, for sure. But in today's money, I think 5 million per Bitcoin is very, very possible. I think Bitcoin could even go more, even higher than this, because if you look at like Bitcoin could take over the market cap of also assets that are currently used as store of value, like real estate and even stocks and like old paintings and even vintage cars. Many people are pushed into these assets, these scarce assets, because keeping dollars in a bank account is just like financial suicide, because you're losing value all the time. So people are getting pushed into these other assets for storing value. But if you look at it, if you have a Ferrari worth 20 million, which is like something that people actually hold, people are using it as a store of value, but it's not very liquid. Selling such a thing can take months, even years. Same goes with a home or like a house. If you buy a villa, when you want to sell it later, it can take time. It can take months before you find someone who can actually buy it, and it takes time, paperwork. It's not very liquid, right? But with Bitcoin, you have this store of value feature, and it's this liquid. I mean, literally here in Dubai, I can call one guy, and in 1 or 2 hours, boom, he sends money to my bank account. I send him the Bitcoin. It is extremely liquid, even more liquid than gold. It's the most liquid thing that you can store value in today, in my opinion. I mean, obviously you can choose the dollar, which is of course even more liquid in a sense, right? But then you pay the price, because it's inflation, and you have to trust the governments, you have to trust the banks and all of that stuff. So Bitcoin is fantastic and can go much higher than 5 million. I think even 10 million or so could be possible if you actually go and look at the whole total addressable market of the hundreds of trillions of dollars that could potentially flow into Bitcoin if people choose Bitcoin over these other store of values.
Well, that's an awesome message. We'll certainly be excited, and hopefully we can have you back on the channel. Thank you so much for coming on. Everybody go check out Carl's channel, The Moon. Super cool. He's doing daily chart analysis and also mixing in some really good fundamental analysis on Bitcoin as well. Thanks so much for taking the time and coming on the channel, Carl.
Thank you so much. Let's do this again in the future.